Hello, good afternoon everybody. It's the 8th of November 2020. We're in Scarborough, North Yorkshire. Don't forget, photography in a public place in a public space isn't a crime. Badges shouldn't grant extra rights. As you can clearly see, we are stood on a pavement. And we're out in the open. It has public access. And today we're here, just behind me is the COVID testing centre for Scarborough that's been set up. So today, my intention is to do a little bit of filming and recording of events. I've been doing YouTube now for about 5 years. This will be about the 150th video, so for me it's kind of a normal exercise. Basically, I've been watching other auditors in the UK, and I think there are some good examples and there are some bad examples. So I'd like to preference this off if possible. Bear with me. I was on the metpolice.uk newsletter last night. Paragraph 3. Members of the public and the media do not need a permit to film or photography in public places, and the police have no power to stop them filming or photographing incidents or police personnel. Just wanted to make that clear. Now, there is the Terrorism Act of 2000, photography, and Section 44 of the Terrorism Act. It no longer exists, so the power to stop and search someone under that is not applicable. However, they could possibly use Section 43 if they reasonably suspect to be a terrorist. The purpose of the stop is to search and discover whether that person has in their possession anything that may constitute evidence that they are a terrorist. They have the power to view images, to seize any article, but they're not allowed to delete images. Only a court order, a lawful power, can do so. So, with that in mind, also within the same document, paragraph 13 clearly states that photographers, reporters and TV crews is a regular occurrence for many officers and staff. So this isn't a normal behaviour. The media influence our reputation, so it's crucial to maintain good working relations with its members, even in difficult circumstances. And I would say that COVID would class as a difficult circumstance, but not beyond the pale. Paragraph 17 is also important. I'm going to highlight this. If someone distressed or bereaved asks the police to stop the media recording them, the request can be passed on to the media, but not enforced. Just thought I'd preference some legislation, particularly the Antisocial Behavior Act 2014. It creating an offence of obstructing a person issuing an order or notice, officials entering the premises, or people securing it. So what that means is today, is so long as I keep my distance and allow access and egress for the gate, I don't believe that I'm in contravention of that. Also, the fact that just being at this distance here doesn't prevent the security staff or any of the NHS personnel completing their duties. So I just thought I'd make that threshold very clear. And again, my intention is not to block any drivers or any gates leading up to the test site, because that would be unacceptable behaviour. We'd also need to preference that the idea that there is a small sign on the fencing that says filming and photography is not allowed. And the problem with this is the NHS staff, again, are paid by the public purse, therefore it makes them a public interest. The facility that they're actually chosen to use here is a council car park, which again is funded by the public purse. In all intents and purposes, this is a public setting. It may be used for a private enterprise. In fact, the only people that are here under private contract would be the security staff, because they work as a private company within the NHS. But again, their invoice would be paid for by the public purse. The NHS disperses the money. So, we just thought I've seen a few other videos where it tends to be antisocial behaviour. That tends to be the first sort of line and thread that some security and some NHS people go to. So I just thought I'd make a reference to this. The antisocial behaviours are actions that harm or lack consideration for the well-being of others. It's really important, that. That's the first sentence of it. A type of conduct that violates the basic rights of another person, and any behaviour that is considered to be disruptive to others in society. And the problem with the idea of society itself is there's no actual number on that. The UK population is about 65 million, give or take. The Scarborough population of that, the surrounding boroughs and villages, is about 65,000. So do they mean just the town, or do they mean the entirety of the UK? Sometimes when it's broad, it causes a bit of an issue. The examples of antisocial behaviour are quite easily listed and again are available to anyone to view. Most examples given is noisy neighbours, graffiti, drinking or drug use leading to rowdy trouble, large groups hanging out in the street if they are causing or likely to cause alarm and distress. Also at the bottom is racism. I also took the time to look at the adjective in regards to antisocial behaviour, and it just says unwilling or unable to associate in a normal or friendly way with other people. So that's quite specific. It's not difficult to remain polite and courteous and cordial, and I think so long as you do that, I think we'll be okay today. So the threshold criteria of the antisocial behaviour of 2014 is over the age of 10, that's in 1. There's 2 conditions to be met. Condition 1, the court is satisfied that on balance of probabilities that the respondent has engaged or threatens to engage antisocial behaviour. The second condition is that the court considers it just and convenient to grant the injunction for the purpose of preventing the respondent, technically be me, from engaging in an antisocial behaviour. And again, preferencing it, I've made 150 YouTube videos over 5 years. I've filmed the EDL marches, Black Lives Matter, and I haven't really had an issue with the local authorities to this date. So for me, this is kind of a normal occurrence. Section 105, bracket 4, bracket 1, behaviour to causing alarm or distress. Bracket 1, bracket A. The antisocial behaviour in which the respondent has engaged or threatens to engage consists of and includes the use of threatened use of violence against other persons, or bracket B, there is a significant risk of harm to other persons from the respondent. So the thing there would be is, whilst we're filming, the threshold criteria would be, if we are accused of that, would be what is the evidence for that. So our intention here today is to film in a public place, show that it's not an offence, and show that it can be done in a reasonable and calm manner, and hopefully maybe a smidgen of education, maybe. So the photo sign at the back that we've got there says no filming. So the question then becomes is who gave them the authority of such an order, if one exists, and what is the legislation precisely that they'll be standing under. So what's going to happen now is that within the perimeter we're going to stick to the public access ways, and we're going to see basically how it goes. So it'll be a preference of what resources are being used. As you can hear in the background, we've got generators, we've got a few tents here as well, and a few pork cabins. So again, this will all be funded by the NHS. They'll all be, I know that these places are private companies, but they're still being paid for by the public purse. So that still gives us a public interest in that story in that regard. I'd also like to thank today my cameraman who's volunteered to come down and help me out. Cheers for that, Mike. And basically, we'll see what goes on.
Have questions and you want answers.
Mm-hmm.
There's an email address in here with the media team.
Oh, that'd be great.
So
Thanks.
if you want questions answered.
It was just one. The time, is it 9 to 5?
I'm not going to answer. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to answer. So just leave that there.
Yeah, no worries.
And anything you need to know, they'll answer for you.
Oh, cheers.
Please just question the staff, yeah?
Why is that? Why can't we ask questions? Hello, good afternoon viewers. It's Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 2020, 8th of November. It's just the second half of my video. Basically, I just wanted, after my intro, just thought I'd show the resources and the equipment that's being used in order to create this testing centre at William Street Car Park. So we have got a few members of security staff, and basically we're on a public pavement here.
We're not obstructing gates, we're not obstructing doors, and we're certainly not in hindrance of the staff and the personnel that work here. So off we go. Let's see what happens. There's the generators. Everyone likes generators. Look at those bad boys. Look at them. Honestly. So those are the amount of cabins. Those are the resources being used. So it's not an overly large testing site. I've seen other places that have put up green netting or white plastic sheeting over the Harris fencing in order to gain some sort of idea of privacy. But Scarborough appears not to have done that on this occasion. So, yeah, there's the tent. What was that, bud? Oh, you can request that, bud, but you can't enforce it. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it is a public pavement and it's a public access. No, I understand that it's a request, but it's not enforceable. So that yeah, that's no worries. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. No worries. So, and again, that basically 2 minutes 28 in. That basically reiterated what I said earlier about media and bereavement and distress. So it's a request, but at the end of the day it's not enforceable. So that basically, that wasn't too bad actually. That wasn't a bad little engagement. He didn't cross the road, he didn't try to press anything. And as I say, in years to come, people will ask and say, where were you, what did you do? Well, try to document it as much as possible. I'm not even sure if Scarborough Evening News has taken any footage or photographs, or so I'm unsure about that. He said it was alright to film, so that's a good one. That's good. I think it appears that there's been a better briefing in regards to filming. I think we're all good here. I think the York security here have passed by the look of it. I don't think it's too harsh. Seems reasonable. What's interesting is it doesn't seem to be very busy. So I hear that we do all these thousands and thousands of tests every day, and yet it seems to me quiet. Apparently Scarborough's picked up 1,200 cases in the last week or so, but based on this testing centre, I don't quite know how they pulled that off. So far I've only seen 3 people come in, and we've been here for about an hour. So those averages aren't very good. Notice I didn't ask for the SIA operative's badge number and ID because under the SIA guidance and regs, he's not entitled or obligated to tell me those details. It's only an authorised officer, so we're talking police and licensing, or local authority or SIA inspector, not a member of the general public. So that needs to be clarified as well, because I know some auditors like to demand ID. That's the reason why I didn't bother asking, because I read it up and it seemed pretty clear and self-evident to me. Don't forget, again, you could be stood still here for 10 minutes. Anyone who walks past the shop, there's no real expectation of privacy in a public setting, and I would pretty much say this pavement and these double yellow lines and this road is pretty much a public setting. So it seems like a lot of resources placed here for a virus that seems so deadly. It seems deadly quiet. So there is a sign on that fence in there, right in the edge there. That's the no photography symbol, but I think that only regards to being inside the compound, not on the outside. So I would say that was fairly reasonable. I did look at the NHS guidelines for taking video and footage and photographs in a medical facility, and there is a procedure to go through, and there's a lot of criteria for the NHS to meet in order for them to allow you to film. So things like blurring out patients' faces and beeping out patients' details and things like that. So not even going to attempt to walk to the perimeter or even go in, because that's not acceptable. At that point would be possibly trespassing, and that's not the way I roll. I like to keep it lawful and legal. So if there's anything else that you'd like us to film, just leave a comment in the comment section. It's interesting that we've got all this out for a virus allegedly that the survival rate's 99%. The average person that dies from this is 82 years old. It's tragic, it's sad, it's horrible, but in order to be able to think, we must be able then to face facts and figures that could potentially be upsetting or distressing, but then we can use that to move forward to find a solution and find a strategy that works, so without inhibiting people's freedoms, but at the same time vulnerable and people being shielded to give them the best chances of survival. I think that's the best we can do. I don't know if these testing centres are overreach. I'm not sure. It's not for me to decide. I'm not qualified, but I have my own opinions and thoughts on this matter. Okay guys, this to me has been fairly successful. Take care and goodbye.